The musician class in Dead Rails costs 15 points and gives you a banjo. No guns, no melee weapon, just music. Unless someone carries you, you're completely useless early on, which almost never happens in real games. The healing? It's awful. It's super slow. Like 5% of someone's health over way too much time. And it doesn't even heal you. So you're just standing there, defenseless, playing backup for people who'd rather have another gun. And the worst part? You can just buy a banjo. Any class can do the same healing without giving up their weapons. So what's the point of being a musician? There isn't one. It's a waste of a class slot. Definitely F tier. First off, you can already revive teammates with bandages, and any class can carry those. You don't need to be the doctor to do that. Even the starter class can pick up bandages and revive people just fine. So the revive ability isn't unique. It's just slightly faster and costs your own health, which is honestly a bad trade unless you're extremely prepared or already stacked. Second, the starting items are way too limited. 2 snake oils, that's nothing. You'll burn through both in a single fight. Healing in Dead Rails is fast-paced and resource-hungry. A true support class should come with way more. This is supposed to be the healer, and you're basically out of supplies after 1 revive and a bandage. Also, just like the musician class, you can buy all this stuff. Snake oil, bandages, even revives if you're set up right. So why lock yourself into a class that's only slightly better at something every other class can already do? Doctor is cheap, 15 bonds. But that doesn't mean it's good. It's not efficient, especially if you know how to manage your healing and inventory. The value just isn't there unless you're in a perfectly coordinated team and your one job is babysitting everyone else's health, which, let's be honest, is almost never how people play this game. D tier. The zombie class costs 75 bonds, and it sounds cool at first. You can eat corpses to regain health, and zombies don't really notice you. But in actual gameplay, this class falls apart fast. First big issue: you can't use bandages or snake oil. That's a massive deal. Those are 2 of the most important healing items in the game. No matter how you build your inventory, you're locked out of the best healing tools completely. That's not a quirk, that's a straight-up handicap. So you rely on the corpse-eating mechanic instead. But here's the problem. It barely heals you. Like, it gives a tiny sliver of health. If you're in a serious fight and manage to win, you're still left limping because chomping on a corpse gives you maybe a 1/5 of what snake oil would have done instantly. Yeah, you have a low detection radius, which makes sneaking around towns a bit easier. But that only matters early game. Once you're spotted or in PvP, that advantage is gone. And it's not like being ignored by zombies helps much when you're still trying to scavenge for weapons and survive without reliable healing. And again, 75 bonds. That's not cheap. That's 5 times the cost of a doctor or musician. For that price, you'd expect something that shifts the meta, not a gimmicky stealth class with worse healing than everyone else. F tier. The Alamo class costs 50 bonds and is all about defense. You spawn with 3 sheet metal, 3 barbed wire, and a helmet, which lets you instantly fortify the train. That's actually a solid early game advantage. You can lock down your position before most people even find loot. And it's especially useful if you're holding out in a hot zone or prepping for a zombie wave. Barbed wire slows enemies down, defends choke points, and generally makes it harder for people to rush you. The sheet metal is great for cover. Whether you're protecting a teammate, hiding from outlaws, or blocking sunlight for a vampire, you've got options. That flexibility adds a lot of value in the right hands. But here's where it slip. You can buy all of this. Sheet metal, barbed wire, even the helmet. It's all available in-game. The only real perk is having it immediately. Once the game gets going and people are looting, Alamo doesn't scale much. You're not getting new abilities or utility, you just front-loaded some defense. And outside of defensive setups, you don't have anything that helps in a direct fight. No bonus to weapons, speed, or healing. If your team doesn't capitalize on your early fort setup, that advantage fades fast. B tier. The Cowboy class costs 50 bonds and gives you an immediate advantage. A revolver, 2 packs of ammo, and a tamed horse right out the gate. That's actually great value, especially if you're free to play and don't want to grind or pay just to get a gun. You're armed from the start, while other players are still punching crates or scavenging buildings. The horse is a nice bonus too. You can loot the first town faster, rotate quicker, or just secure gear before the chaos hits. Then once you're done with it, you can weld it to the train or stash it in a sack and bring it back out later. That mobility advantage can make a real difference, especially early on. But after the early game, Cowboy's value plateaus. You don't get any long-term buffs or unique mechanics, it's just about starting strong. If you don't capitalize on that early momentum, you're basically just a regular player with a basic pistol. And while the revolver is nice to have early, it's outclassed fast once you start finding better weapons. Also, just like any item-based class, everything Cowboy gives you can be looted. The gun, the ammo, the horse, they're not exclusive. So if you're already good at looting or fast on the draw, you might not need to spend 50 bonds for what you could find in 3 minutes anyway. I'll give it a B tier. The Priest class costs 50 bonds and gives you a pretty unique toolkit focused on crowd control and weather-based survivability. You spawn with holy water and have the special ability of being completely immune to lightning strikes during lightning storms. That's definitely a fun perk, but let's look at what that actually means. Holy water is where the real strength of this class is. There's a solid strategy where you group up a bunch of zombies, get them all clustered together, and then throw the holy water to instantly wipe them out. It's one of the few ways in the game to reliably handle big hordes without burning a ton of ammo or risking close-range melee fights. In squad play, this becomes even better. One person baits, you drop the water, and boom, you've cleared half a town. It's genuinely satisfying and useful when pulled off right. Now, the lightning immunity sounds cool, but in reality, it's kind of underwhelming. First off, lightning storms aren't super rare, so it's not like you're the only one who gets to interact with that mechanic. Second, if you really want to take advantage of lightning, you can just buy a lightning rod in the game. You don't need to be the priest class to survive a storm. You can spend a little and get the same result. The immunity is nice, but it's not game-changing, and it doesn't help much in regular fights. The priest also spawns with no weapon, no armor, and no healing gear. So unless you're immediately using holy water, or you're in a lightning storm, you're kind of just a weaker version of a looter until you find gear. It's very situational, and doesn't always pay off unless you're setting up the right moments. I'll give it a B tier as well. The Arsonist class costs 20 bonds and spawns with 4 Molotovs. On top of that, you deal double fire damage, which makes it sound like a solid pick for clearing out zombie hordes. And to be fair, in the right hands, it can do some decent crowd control. But when you break it down, Arsonist still feels like a weaker version of the priest. The priest gets holy water for instant zombie wipes, a crucifix for added support, and full lightning immunity during storms. The Arsonist gets some Molotovs and a passive. That's it. No backup tools, no survivability, and once the Molotovs are gone, your usefulness drops hard. In squads, there is a viable strategy where a fast class like Vampire or someone riding a cowboy's horse pulls zombies into a group, and then the Arsonist burns them all in one shot. That's cool when it works, but it takes coordination, and it can actually hurt your vampire teammate if they're relying on those zombies for healing. You're basically cutting into another class's strength just to make yours look okay. The fire damage buff is nice, but it doesn't carry the class. It's fun, it's flashy, but it doesn't scale. You're front-loaded with a single gimmick and no way to maintain it. The moment those Molotovs run dry, you're basically just another looter without tools. It fits good into C tier. The Ironclad class costs 100 bonds, making it one of the most expensive classes in Dead Rails, and honestly, it doesn't live up to the price tag. You spawn with a full set of armor, which gives you solid early-game survivability, but that's where the benefits stop. This is a class that's built entirely around team play. You're supposed to tank hits while your squad handles the damage. But let's be real. Finding good teammates in this game is a gamble. Most players are doing their own thing, and if you're not in a coordinated squad, you're basically a slow-moving target with no backup. You do not solo with this class. It's borderline unplayable on your own. And the negative 10% movement speed is way more punishing than it sounds. If a zombie starts chasing you, you can't outrun it unless you pop a snake oil, and that's just to bring your speed back to normal. You're burning valuable healing just to move like every other class, which defeats the point of being tanky if you have to constantly chug items to survive. Sure, in the very early game, that armor can save you, but once stronger enemies show up, you're just dragging your feet in outdated gear. There's no utility, no damage, no speed, and no reason to spend 100 bonds on a class that relies entirely on teammates and falls apart without them. Ironclad is the definition of overcommitment for low payoff, and I'm putting it in C tier. The Survivalist class costs 75 bonds, and it's easily one of the strongest offensive classes in Dead Rails right now. You spawn with a tomahawk for early-game melee, but the real power kicks in when you start using guns, because Survivalist gets 2 times base gun damage right out of the gate, even at full health. No other class can match that kind of raw output, and it gets better. As you lose HP, your damage actually increases. For every 1 horsepower you lose, you gain 1% more damage. That means if you're low on health and still standing, you become an absolute monster, clearing out zombies, bandits, whatever's in your way. It's high risk, high reward, and the damage scaling makes late-game fights feel like target practice. Now here's where it gets broken. With the newest update, bullets now pierce through wood, paper, and even enemies. So when you're dealing 2 times damage, or even more at low HP, your bullets can go straight through an entire group of zombies and kill them all in a single shot. This isn't theoretical. It happens, and it's insanely satisfying. Just line up a shot, and boom, a whole crowd drops instantly. Mid to late game, all you need is a decent rifle and ammo, and you're wiping towns, holding trains, and carrying fights. This class doesn't rely on items, healing, or support. It just turns you into a walking cannon. Survivalist brings top-tier power, insane synergy with current mechanics, and almost no downside if you play smart. It's a full S tier, no debate. The Packmaster class costs 35 bonds and brings a pretty unique mechanic to the squad: wolf control. You start with 3 tamed wolves right off the bat, and you can tame any wild ones that try to attack you. Yeah, taming costs 15 health per wolf, but if you're managing your health right, it's worth it. The real strength of this class shows up when you go all in. If you're in a full squad and everyone is running Packmaster, you're basically rolling with a wolf army. That's not just cool, it's actually useful. Wolves can shred enemies, overwhelm zombies, and act as living distractions during fights or while looting towns. Even better, their corpses are bulletproof, meaning they can be used as makeshift cover when things get heated. Individually, Packmaster is decent, but with smart teamwork and coordination, it scales into something way more powerful. You're basically trading bonds and health for a constantly growing, self-replacing front line. With the right squad, this class can really shine. I'm putting Packmaster in B tier. The High Roller class costs 50 bonds, and it's absolutely worth it. You gain 1.5 times the money from every money bag you collect, which stacks up fast in towns, raids, and loot runs. That kind of economy boost helps your whole squad by letting you buy more weapons, upgrades, and utility items way earlier than other classes. Now, technically, there's a downside. You're 10 times more likely to get struck by lightning during a storm. But here's the thing. You can just buy a lightning rod. Problem solved. That turns the class from high risk, high reward into just high reward. If you're high roller and grab a rod early, you're basically playing without any drawbacks. And if you're running with a squad, there's even more potential. Have your teammates give you their valuables to sell, you'll get 1.5 times the payout for them, and you can redistribute that wealth later. That turns the high roller into a shared bank account for the whole team. Insane money scaling, removable risk, and great squad synergy. I'm putting high roller in A tier. The Necromancer class costs 35 bonds and brings a pretty unique mechanic, but it's definitely one that only works well in squad settings. You spawn with nothing but the default shovel, so you're completely reliant on finding gear or getting help from teammates early on. The core of the class is its 25% chance to reanimate enemies, but only when you kill them using melee weapons. That means ranged weapons do nothing for your ability, and even when you go melee, the success rate is unreliable. To make matters worse, you instantly lose 10 HP every time the reanimation triggers, which makes aggressive melee risky without a way to heal. Still, there are ways to make it work. The vampire knife is an ideal weapon since it heals you on hit, letting you offset the self-damage from reviving. And if you manage to get the Jade Sword, your odds of summoning skeletons skyrocket, giving you a full-on undead backup crew. In squad fights, this can be a solid source of distraction and pressure. But overall, it's a weak and inconsistent class if you're playing solo. The random chance, the health drain, and the melee-only limitation make it rough. In a squad with the right support and gear, it's got some fun utility. It's not reliable, but it's creative and has squad value. I'm putting Necromancer in B tier. The Conductor class is easily one of the strongest picks in the entire game, a true S-tier class that every squad should have. For just 50 bonds, you gain the unique ability to boost the train's speed up to 85. This isn't just a small perk. With the new Armored Train update having the Armored Train being slow, the Conductor becomes essential. It turns even the heaviest, slowest train into a high-speed getaway machine, letting your team dodge zombies, storms, and enemy players with ease. You also start with 2 coal, giving you an immediate head start. In squad runs, this class becomes the foundation of a speed run strategy. While the team loots and fights, the Conductor keeps things moving. You can hit late-game zones faster, rotate towns more efficiently, and keep the pressure on. No other class gives your team this level of map control. Yes, you don't get a melee weapon at spawn, but that hardly matters. Your role is mobility and support, not frontline combat. You'll have plenty of time to grab a weapon after the train's rolling. The value this class brings to a coordinated team is massive. Whether you're going for speed, survival, or efficiency, Conductor is the key to getting it done. Without a doubt, this is an S-tier class. The Werewolf class is absolutely built for domination at night, and thanks to a bug currently in the game, it's performing even better than intended. At night, you get double speed, double health, and double damage. That makes you a monster in every sense of the word. Nothing on the map is a real threat when you're in your nighttime prime. Hordes, melted, bosses, shredded, you're a walking death machine. But here's where it gets broken. Due to a bug, when night ends and day starts, you keep the double damage buff into the day. So instead of suffering the intended stat drop, you continue deleting enemies with your overpowered strength well past your werewolf hours. It basically lets you bypass the class's main weakness. Now yes, if you didn't have that bug active, your daytime stats are nerfed to 0.9x, meaning you're slightly weaker than the default class in almost every way. But with smart squad play, You can just stay safe during the day and unleash destruction once the sun sets. Want to make it even better? Grab a miner helmet for night vision and you're set. You'll be unstoppable while everyone else is squinting into the dark. Werewolf is a top pick for players who like to time their aggression, and right now with the bug in effect, it's more than worth the cost. It fits perfectly into A tier. Vampire is one of the strongest classes in the entire game, no question. You get double movement speed, which is faster than a horse, meaning you can outrun basically anything. You also get 2 times melee damage, and you spawn with the vampire knife, which not only hits hard but also heals you on hit. That makes this class incredibly self-sufficient and aggressive from the start. Yes, the vampire takes damage from direct sunlight, but that's barely a downside because you can block sunlight with almost anything: crates, doors, furniture, even standing inside structures. It's not hard to manage at all. Plus, there's an absolutely broken synergy with the new cattle car. The cattle car blocks sunlight while still letting you move around, making it perfect for vampire players. You don't have to build or plan. Just hop into the car and you've got mobile shade on the go. That one train car alone makes vampires' only weakness practically irrelevant. You're fast, you heal from fights, and you shred zombies in seconds. Whether you're solo or in a squad, this class dominates. Vampire is absolutely S tier.